Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Mancini. You may know me as Miss Nikki in Fifth on Twitter. And I am here today to present a very special topic that I think a lot of the educators out there would appreciate it. Just a little bit more about me. As I said, my name is Nicole, and I am a fifth grade teacher from New Jersey. I am also the educator, host, and collaborator for the podcast My Messy Muse, and a board member for the New Jersey Literacy Association. I am super pumped to show you the world of Bitmoji in the classroom and how to use Bitmoji in order to drive engagement, whether you are virtually teaching this year or if you are actually within the classroom. So I have lots to show you today. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to get started. If you're not familiar with Bitmoji, don't worry, I'll go over how to access the program and really what it is, and then we're going to just jump in. I've been using Bitmoji stickers for a while now. Typically, I use them when I'm texting with my friends or colleagues, but I started to realize about a year or two ago that kids think they're really fun. So whenever I'm in my classroom, I try to use them on anything from posters to signs with directions or even slides that I put up and display on my active board in my classroom. So Bitmoji is something that's been around for a while, but it wasn't until a lot of us went remote during the coronavirus pandemic that it became something completely different. And the creativity of teachers all over really exploded in the Bitmoji world. And it's something that people have said, and I will warn you, people have said that creating Bitmoji activities online can be a bit addicting. I've heard stories of husbands telling their wives they're not allowed on the computers for a day because it is so fun and you can really get into it once you know the basic tricks. So if you do not know what Bitmoji is, let's start there. A Bitmoji is basically a sticker that is digital, and you can use it on essentially anything. If you have an iPhone, for example, there is a Bitmoji app. If you're using Android, I believe there's also a Bitmoji app. For desktop users, laptop users, there is a couple of options, actually. There are a couple of options. So, what I always recommend is that teachers download the Google Chrome extension. It looks like this right here on the slide, that little happy face. If you just Google the extension Bitmoji, you'll find it and download it so that it appears in the browser bar of Google Classroom. That makes it super easy to access. And once you have it, you can use it really anywhere. You can put them in email, you can put them on websites, or you can put them in classroom activities like we'll talk about today. This is an example, in case you haven't figured out, of what a Bitmoji looks like. They're these little people that you create to look like you, and you design their hair and their outfits. And the program has all of these different poses and fun sayings that your Bitmojis can be displayed in. I will give a little bit of a warning, though. Some of those poses and some of the sayings are not exactly kid friendly. So this isn't something I would recommend that students download unless it's a little bit older, maybe college level or even high school. But, for teachers, you can obviously use your discretion as far as what you would like to use in your classroom. But I just wanted to give that, little heads up. So before we jump into creating activities, take a second, download the Google Chrome Bitmoji extension, and either open up a blank set of slides in Google Slides, or you can also use PowerPoint. It's totally up to you. I prefer to use Google Slides, and that's what I'll be using for this demonstration. But you can use PowerPoint as well. Once you have everything downloaded, we can take a look at some examples of things to do with your Bitmoji character. So My class was in a remote learning situation once coronavirus hit, and we were out of the building starting March 14th, I believe it was, through the end of the school year. And I found that it was really tricky to make those personal connections with my kiddos because we were online. We could do Zoom meetings, we could do interactive activities, and so on. But just making those extra connections was really important so that everyone was feeling okay and managing all of the stress and anxiety of the pandemic. And one of the things that I did was I used my Bitmoji character to create a lunch bunch slide, which is what you're looking at now. I am a bulldog. I teach at Bedminster School, home of the Bulldogs. So what I did was I had a designated time every couple of days where the kids would set up their computers and I would have a Zoom session where we could just chit chat like we were in the cafeteria. When the children came onto the Zoom, this particular picture was portrayed here, projected, excuse me, and until it was lunchtime, I had this on the screen, and it mimics what our cafeteria looks like. Our colors are blue. You'll see our school logo there, and I made up a little lunch for me, and here's my Bitmoji character. And it was just a cute way to keep the kids settled and ready before I turned on the Zoom cameras. So that was one way that I started with online Bitmoji activities. Things then progressed from there. So this is an activity that shows various field trips that the kids could go on using a variety of free online resources. And what you'll notice is that there are several different types of graphics here. There's a background graphic, there's some images with quotes, there's my Bitmoji, there's a little speech bubble, and then there are these posters right here, and that's where the interactivity comes into play. So if a student wanted to go on a virtual field trip, or if this was something that I assigned, what they would do is they would pick one of these locations and it would bring them to a website that explores that place. So just to show you an example, let's go to Bryce Canyon National Park. Pretty cool.
The American Southwest is known for its red rock formations. But this towering stone jungle sets itself apart from the rest. Join Kevin Poe, Park Ranger at Bryce Canyon National Park, on a journey that spans day and night.
So that was a pretty neat example of one of the virtual field trips. And I teach ELA, fifth grade ELA. So I could have a student go on that virtual field trip, explore the different areas, listen to the experts, and so on, and either create a presentation or do more research on that particular location, write a report, fill out some type of a field trip guide. The possibilities are endless. Another option is right down here, the Great Wall of China, and this uses a different type of website. So with this one, the kids would be able to click through and see the different parts to the Great Wall, which is kind of neat. They can walk down it and go a little further and see all the different things. And again, you can design an activity based on that. Now, this particular setup, I do want to give some credit to. There's a fantastic Facebook group that you can search for if you are on Facebook. I believe it's called Bitmoji Craze for Educators. There's a few of those Bitmoji groups on Facebook, and you know how we are as teachers. We love to share. So I got this basic idea from a teacher that uploaded it there, and then I adapted it to my classroom. So that's something that, if you're totally new to creating a Bitmoji world, you can go onto these Facebook groups and borrow and adapt some of the activities that are pre-made, and then it just shows you how to make your own as time goes on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is show you another one here. Here it is. So this particular Bitmoji activity is huge. I use this towards the end of the school year, and it's a virtual reading area or virtual library. Some of it, again, I borrowed and adapted to my class from the Facebook group that I just mentioned. Other parts I did on my own. But what you'll notice is that the more comfortable you get with using Bitmojis, the more creative you can get. For example, we have some animations here. If you look by Diary of a Wimpy Kid, you have, some of the characters popping up. We have audio clips that you can play.
Are you sure you don't want me to walk you in?
Mom!
Okay.
So that's a clip from the Wimpy Kid movies. There's an animation of the fireplace by Harry Potter. There's, this little glowing light bulb and excuse me. And so, you can add animations, you can add music, you can add sounds, you can do all sorts of things to make it more engaging. What I had my students do was select a bundle of books and take some time to explore. So if I click this one here on the right, this brings us, I'll just move my camera up. This brings us to a room of books that are by authors that I know my students like, or books that they're interested in. And what they did was they picked one and clicked on the book, and it brought them to a new page where there's an author reading or talking about that particular book. This one is Engine Nerds, a fantastic middle grade book by Jarrett Lerner.
It's Jared again, obviously, and I'm back because just in case you listened to my book talk of Engine Nerds, I thought it would be cool for me to read the first few chapters of the book to give you even more of a little taste of it.
So when you get these videos, it's cool because, the author's right there for the students. They get excited about the book, and it just brings them back in. So that's kind of neat. I also have different rooms for series. And again, I use some animations here. There are various sections depending on what I created. And, you can get into this as much as you want to make it more interactive. One thing I will say, though, is that we need to keep in mind the appropriate use policies regarding books. If you're not familiar, basically, you as an educator do not necessarily have permission to read aloud a book to your students and put that video online. That would violate publishing, copyright issues. So what you want to do if you're selecting videos is to look for a video that is on an author webpage or on a publishing site, and then you can just link that into your Bitmoji room, and you'll find lots of these. Now that we have this pandemic situation, a lot of publishers are also giving permission for you to read portions of authors' books for a limited time. And if you just Google SLJ publishing guidelines, you will find a school library journal page that shows you all of the major publishers and what their read aloud guidelines are. So now that I showed you a couple of things that you can do with your Bitmoji, let's talk about how you actually do that. So again, I'm in Google Slides, and this is a new slide here. Just going to make myself a little smaller. When you open up a Google slide, it always has these two text boxes. So we're just going to delete them. And now we can get started. So let's start with the basics. If you looked at some of the other pages that I had, you'll notice there's a background. So that's where I'm going to begin. If you click the background button, this is where you can pick an image that you already have on your computer and upload it as a background. And what I did, for example, is I used this neat brick background for this slide. The way to get these backgrounds is pretty simple. If you wanted, let's say, I don't know, a white brick background, you just type that in Google and you'll come up with all these different images that you can click on, and you can save the image and use it within your Bitmoji activity. Please keep in mind again that sometimes there are images out there that will charge you for their use. So you want to look for something that says free stock photo or free graphic or clip art, and that would be good to use. The next step would be to figure out what you want to do with your room. I mean, you can go anywhere with this. So I'm going to go up to my Bitmoji button. This is the Google Chrome extension that we talked about. And I'm going to type in, I don't know, pose. And this makes it easy to find Bitmojis doing various things. So I'm going to grab this one here and drag it out onto my Google slide. So I have her there. And she's kind of falling on the page. So let's give her a chair. Let me click on Insert Image and search the web. So, whoops, sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is type in chair transparent. If you type in transparent after any of the objects, whether it's furniture or little knickknacks or whatever you want to put in your Bitmoji room, it'll give you an image that doesn't have a background, and we don't want a background because we already have one. You could also try putting SVG instead of transparent, or you can even type transparent background, but I tend to have success with this. Okay, so now we have some chairs. Oh, this is kind of a cool one. I'm going to drag that here. Okay, so there's our chair, and notice again, there's no background because we wanted a transparent image. So I'm going to move my chair over and grab my Bitmoji friend. And you have the option, you can, tilt this and move it around. And I'm going to put her on the chair. Now, because I picked my Bitmoji first, I'm just going to order this by right-clicking. And I want to send the chair backwards so that she can sit in it. There we go. I'm going to make her a little bit bigger so she fits in that chair right. So that was pretty simple. Let's add something else. How about we add a lamp? Okay, so we have lots of options here for lamps. Now, you can have, if you notice, this looks more realistic, but you could also have something that is, I guess you would call it cartoonish, and you can add that in your room depending on the look that you're going for. So we have a little lamp there for her. Let's put a rug on the floor. Okay. About, oh, there's so many options. How about this one? Okay, wow, look at that purple rug. So we're going to resize that. I'm going to put it right in the center, and I'm just going to send it backward. I'm going to do that, whoops, one more time. And one more time again, so it goes behind the chair. Okay, so now we have our rug. Okay, we have a lamp here. Move my lamp right there. And what else could we add? I don't know. Let's put a cat. Okay, so we have some cat options. I think I used this in one of my other slides. Okay, so we have our kitty. I'm going to resize her and put her right there. And let's do one more thing. Let's put, I don't know, a picture. Let's see what comes up for picture. Let me put a poster transparent. You can kind of play around with some options here. Okay, this is kind of interesting. So I'm going to take this here. Looks like a very artistic piece and put it on my wall. And now it looks pretty good, but why don't we put a frame? So what I can do, it's already double clicked, is I can go to this button right here, border weight, and I could put a frame around it. Now, if you want to get even fancier than that, you can go back to your images and type in picture frame and find something that'll jazz it up a little bit. Let's try this one. Okay. Ooh, this one's really transparent. I don't know how that would look with our brick wall. Let's get rid of that one and try another one. How about this one? Ooh, how about this one? Okay. So here's our picture frame, and we're just going to adjust it. And then we have our artwork right there. And if you guys remember the virtual field trip that I showed you before, that's what I did. I found those posters, put a frame around them, and then I added a link. So let me show you how to add a link here. If you want your students to be able to click on something and then it takes you somewhere else, you would just first click on that item, which is my picture, and then click insert link. So if I wanted this to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, I would just go to that website and grab the URL and paste it in here. If I wanted it to go to my teacher page, I could do the same thing. Any link that you put, it will go to. You can also have it go to a different slide within this presentation. So if I wanted the kids to be able to click on this and have it go to the virtual field trip page, I would just pick whatever slide I wanted it to go to, and then the link would be there for them. So it's pretty simple. Now, let me show you how to add an animation. That's our next kind of jazzy way to add things here. With animations, you can do a couple of different things. The easiest way that I have found is you can actually insert a video, and that will let you upload some type of an animation like the fireplace, for example, and it goes through YouTube. So I'm going to type in fireplace just as an example. And here's one. So it brings up this fireplace, and there are different options if you have a video and you want to start it at a certain point and such. So if I were to take this fireplace, I'm going to move Miss Nikki over here for now just to show you. If I had a fireplace that I wanted, I again could do something like with this frame and put a frame around it to make it look more realistic. I could make like a whole mantle on it. You can use all the features from PowerPoint or Google Slides, all of these shapes and lines and things. And then when people go to this particular slide, you have your fireplace that will play, including the sounds. Now, you can set it within the format options to automatically play. So you can do it that way, or if you want your kids to have to click on the animation or the video, you can do that as well. Okay, so those are the basics. There's so many ways to go over this because, as you can see, you can do tons and tons of different things. But with Bitmojis, you know, the number one thing to remember is that you want it to be user-friendly. You want it to be interesting to the kids and engaging so that they have fun with it. You can also use your Bitmojis if you don't want to create a virtual room. You can use them on assignments, just like we had. Let me make a new slide here. If you had an assignment that was in either Google Docs or Google Classroom and you thought the kids did really well on it, what you could do is go up to your Bitmoji extension and type in something like great, and you have a virtual sticker that you can put directly on the assignment. And then the kids would see that when they open up the work again. And what's kind of cool is that Bitmoji is always adding different ones, different stickers. So I noticed that they were adding more that had to do with school at the end of the year. There was, here we go, we have some A+ ones. You can type in, I don't know, terrific, you'll find some. And the new feature that they just added is that if they don't have a sticker that says something that you want, they will make one. So I teach reading. If I wanted to have a Bitmoji say read, they have some options that they automatically create for you. So it's kind of neat that Bitmoji is so wonderful in updating and adding multiple things to their system. Now we're running out of time, so I just want to wrap things up. But now that you know how to create a basic Bitmoji room or how to use them for stickers on assignments and such, I wanted to show you how to give this particular activity to your students. I use Google Classroom, but you can use pretty much anything to give it to your students. You can email it, you can post a link on a website, and so on. But here's what I tend to do. So if I go to this share button here, let's pretend this is the assignment. It opens this window, and you can look at your settings and change your settings to whatever you want. If you want them just to be, if you want the link to be accessible by only people within your school district, you would put it on that. Or if you want anyone to be able to access it, you can adjust from there. And then here's the trick, which I did not learn until the end of the year, unfortunately. If you press copy link, it copies it, and go to a new window and just paste it. Now, you see this incredibly long URL code here. Right after this last slash, you see something that says edit, USP, sharing, and so on. If you take that and delete that and type present, what's going to happen is that when anyone accesses that link, it will automatically make that Bitmoji activity or that Bitmoji room full screen. So they don't have to click present. So watch this. So here it is. Now, if I were to just share this otherwise, it would look like this. And it would open up the actual editing ability of the Google Slides, which, then you would have to tell the kids, okay, open it up, press present, then it'll be in a large format. No, this is the coolest way to do it. So it's automatically there, and they have access to it. Remember too, when you set up your Bitmoji activity, you don't want to give anyone permission to edit it. So make sure that you're the only person that can edit it. That's all in your settings. Same thing goes with PowerPoint. I haven't used PowerPoint in a while, but save it as a file and share it from there. But remember, again, the coolest little trick, just take out this last bit, type present, and it makes it in a full format. So I hope that this was helpful. There is just so much that you can do with Bitmojis. And again, it's super, super addicting. You can just play around for hours and add audio and all sorts of, fun graphics and such. But the goal, again, is to remember you're trying to deliver information to your students in an engaging way. So don't make it too busy. Don't make it too complicated, but make it something that is interesting for the kids and really delivers the content in a fun way for them. If you want to learn more about Bitmoji, take a look at those Facebook groups that I talked about in the beginning of the video, or you can hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on the bottom at Miss Nikki in fifth with a 5 for fifth. Thanks, everybody. I hope you enjoyed and enjoy the rest of your summer.